We're gonna edit that.
Yeah, please. I was just kidding.
Yeah, that's cool. We didn't have to do that.
Oh.
Okay. Well, I am Miss Hutson. I'm an 8th grade science teacher here at Rowe. And I'm here with...
Mrs. Agarwal, 7th grade math.
All right, so I was practicing pronouncing your name. And so if I were to just tap into all the Indian sounds I've grown up hearing, I would want to call you Ritu. But that's not right.
That is right if you are from South India.
That's where my dad's from.
Yes.
So I'm tapping into that. But you're from which part of India?
Not part of
And
India.
what
Mainly central part, but yeah.
And they say
Ritu.
which is the real difference is the I, ri, right?
Yes.
Ritu. Well, it's good because probably a lot of teachers at Rowe have been calling you Ritu.
Yes.
But now we know it's Ritu.
Yeah. But it's more like Hindi name, language, Hindi that is spoken in India. And it has a different R sounds. So mine is very peculiar one. So it generally gets difficult for,
so there's different
it. Yeah, it's called Ritu.
Ritu.
Yes.
Okay. There's only one way to roll your R, isn't there?
There are different, for one you roll your tongue a little less, and for others you roll your tongue a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I'm used to the Spanish, so I'm probably over rolling, but it's kind of where I'm at. So can you tell me where you were born and why did you come over here?
I was born in Bhopal, India. It's in the central India. It's a part of central India. I have stayed there for my entire life until I got married. Once I got married, my husband got a chance to come here for a job, and we thought it would be a nice adventure. I mean, to see a new country and get exposed to different culture and different lifestyle. So we came here for an adventure, and when we were leaving India, we decided we will come back after 5 years. Now this is my 6th year. It has just begun, but we were thinking that we have to go back, and I do dream of going back one day, but I don't know how soon. But gradually I think I started liking to live here, and I don't know, I mean,
gradually. So you have been missing home.
Yes, I miss home a lot.
What do you miss about it?
Everything. Family, friends, culture, neighbors, food.
Yeah. Is Bhopal, is it small, or is it a big town?
It's a very small town.
Oh, so everybody? Almost everybody?
No, not that small.
Not a village.
No, not a village.
But a town.
Yeah, but a town. And yeah, but I know neighbors, and next to next neighbors, and we know everybody in our colony or in our small apartment here, we call them. But here I noticed that you don't even know who lives next door to you, and that is a huge difference that I realized when I moved here, that people are very individualist.
Or insular, kind of insulated in their own. Yeah.
Yes. I lived in 3 different states here, and
oh, really?
Yes.
And where did you first land?
New Jersey.
Oh. Okay, and then where?
Houston.
Oh, come on! You gotta like this place best, right?
Yes, I do. Not the weather.
Oh, well, Bhopal is probably hot and dry. Huh?
Yes, it is hot and dry, but now I have got used to it. I mean, the weather here.
Well,
now I like it.
This is our new Oregon. This is not traditional Oregon.
Oh.
This is very hot and dry for Oregon. So you would have liked it less if you were getting the traditional kind. Can I take a guess at what your husband does?
Yes.
At the risk of being stereotypical, but there's a point in this. Let me guess. I'm going to say engineer. I'm going to say engineer. Is he an engineer?
Yeah, he is an engineer and he's a SAP consultant. Yeah, and it's not a I mean, it is a kind of stereotype, but it's true. Like 99% of the time, it's the fact, you know.
Right.
Asians dominate. Asian dominates when it comes to technology and IT section, I think, especially, you know, business analysts, SAP consultants. So I would say it's a stereotype kind of thing, but I don't know.
Here's what I think. I think we use the word stereotype when sometimes we should be using the word generalization. I think it's a stereotype when you meet someone and you're like, oh, you're Indian, you must be engineer, which I kind of just did. So yes, maybe that is a stereotype. But I was also very cautious, like, could I guess? You know what I mean? So I was like holding space that there were other possibilities. But the reason why, what I know is this, like, there's a stereotype in the United States that Asians are smart, and what I figured out is, well, at least when it comes to Indians, you didn't get let into the country. The United States didn't let anybody into the country. No. They wanted certain people, and so they're like, yes, you're a surgeon, come. You're an engineer, come. So when you meet all these Indians and they're all doctors or lawyers or engineers, it's not because all Indians are doctors, lawyers, and engineers. It's because that's who the United States wanted to show up. And so I was just banking on that. Like, you know, he could have been a animation artist, but I just think, like, would they let an immigrant in who's an animation artist? And the answer might be yes. But I was banking on like no, they probably let him in because he's bringing some high tech skill that we need more of in the United States.
Exactly. There are like 100,000 of people who want to come, but only 1,000 of people, you know.
Congratulations!
And they need the skill. I mean, without the skill, you can't enter US. That is for sure.
Yeah.
And
it's hard for me to hear that, like, you know, just I guess loneliness, right? Like, yeah, when you're saying you miss home, like it makes total sense. But it makes me want to just be like, oh, you do.
Oh, initially I used to feel very alone. I mean, I used to keep on calling my mom and dad and my sister. I mean, it was lonely. I didn't know anyone, and I hesitated. I mean, because people didn't, you know, come and approach me, which is very different. You know, I have grown up in a country where everyone will come and help you. Everyone will, if you are holding two heavy things which belong to you, they will come and offer that. Can I help you? Can I hold one for you? But here I noticed that, you know, it's your burden to carry. You have to carry it. No one comes and offer the help.
Right.
So I noticed that in one group one day, and it made me think that how can I approach them and say hi when, you know, they are not even helping their own friends? And it made me think that maybe, you know, I don't belong. I have a very different upbringing, very different culture, and my expectations are very different. But then I met few people, I became friends with them, and I realized that it's not just me. I mean, everyone has feel this barrier for some reason, and if you offer, they are ready to, you know, become friends. They are ready to have that relationship with you, and they would be there for you. Yeah, it's okay if they don't, you know, interact with the neighbors, but it's not that, you know, they don't want that relationship or that closeness.
Yeah.
It's just that maybe you're lucky to get that, or maybe you're not. I don't know.
Well, I mean, in India, there's deep roots, and so the way of being has been established thousands of years ago. This is how we do things, right? But with such a new country, as the United States, and some people wouldn't think a couple hundred years is new, but it is compared to thousands of years. Yeah, we have a lot to figure out, and no, we haven't landed on where we want to be. It's evident. And I think the pandemic has sort of shown that. I've started taking walks in my neighborhood that I never used to, and the amount of neighbors that I now know the names of has increased by maybe 10. And I'm really proud of that, right? Because it was like, these are people on different blocks. And it seems like everyone is happy, there are people are walking down the street, hey, it's just kind of like, everyone's kind of glad to be making those connections. Kind of like you said, like, they want it, we want it, but we don't necessarily know how to do it. And how did we end up in that position? Well, we are displaced, all of us, right? Like, we don't have roots that go in where it's like, we've come from this place and this place, in different countries ourselves, and then different states and different towns. And I think we're figuring it out. I'm from a small town. My parents came from India in 1970, and my dad's an engineer. And they, of all the places, they moved to Oregon. And of all the places in Oregon, they moved to a town called Corbett, and it's tiny. And it actually happens to be ridiculously gorgeous. It's right. I don't know if you know where it is, but there's Multnomah Falls. It's near it's in the gorge. And so anyway, I'm just like, well done, parents, well done. Like way to pick the right spot. But we're also, it's a small town, and very few people of color. Like, certainly the only Asians in the town, and I would say 1 out of 3 families of color. But that's not, where was I going with that? What I was going to say is so I've been able to compare small town versus city. And I would just say to you that in the small town, it is different. And it's more like what you described in India. Like when we have a party in the country, people come the next day to help clean up. But in the city, that's unheard of. Why would you go back there? You would just be at home, recovering. So, it's not all Americans or anything like that. You know what I mean? It also has other layers to it, like urban versus rural and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Every person has different experience, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends on how lucky you are.
Yeah, and maybe it also has to do with what you're here to bring. Do you know what I mean? When you know of a better way of being in the world, you get to say, hey guys, did you know we could actually be talking and bringing dishes over to each other's house and, watching each other's kids or dogs or, I
I agree. Initially when I came here, I definitely hesitated talking to, strangers or someone new, because one thing, my accent, it's hard for them to understand, and I used to feel that, they will not understand it. So, get that courage and talk is really a big deal when you can. Everything is new, and you don't know what they will feel like, and I don't want to offend anyone because, maybe something is okay for me, but I don't know how things are for, a new place, a new country altogether.
Yeah.
And where I am from, I never left that place. It was the first time I was leaving my town, and then I landed up to altogether a new country. So it was a huge change for me.
Yeah.
And
how old were you when you came here?
I was 28.
Oh, that's a good age. My mom came over at age 19.
Oh.
That's a scary age.
Yeah, that is definitely a scary age.
Yeah.
And then, but then my husband said that like that. I am well educated. I had, I was a very confident person in my country, and I had done really, I mean, good. So he said that you can't, just let this fear of making a mistake, I mean, it will not let you succeed or let you fulfill your dreams. So go outside, make mistakes, it's okay. And then I started going outside. I started I used to say hi and just talk a little bit with people. And now I feel very thankful to him, obviously, but I think that I made a right choice, and now I have started liking here. And so far everyone I have met have been very helpful, very friendly, and they have always welcomed me with, without any judgment, without any, without making me feel that I don't belong or I am someone, whom they can't include in their.
You're right.
Yeah.
Good.
So, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, so it's interesting that the reason why we came up with this idea to do this interview was because I was like inching my way. I was kind of backstepping, being like, well, Ritu's real Indian, and she's gonna cover all that better than I could because I'm not from India. I'm just my DNA's Indian, and it's more than that, right? Because my parents are Indian, so I grew up with a lot of cultural aspects, but also I'm very American, very Western. Grew up watching The Love Boat, and so, it's interesting because I was telling Mr. Dix that, you were kind of like, no, you should be stepping into this. I want to hear your perspective. And exactly. It was like, and I was like, oh, I'm not Indian enough. And so there's just this idea for me, I guess part of my experience is like as you're working to find belonging in this country, you have belonging in India. You have that somewhere. But what is interesting is what I always defined as being Indian for most of my life wasn't actually Indian. It was being a minority. And this is something that's very, very, I don't meet a lot of people who experience this because even all my friends of color, they actually grew up in communities that were the same as them. Mm-hmm. My Vietnamese friends grew up in a Vietnamese community in the United States because they're from towns that were bigger than mine. So for me, being Indian was like, what I thought being Indian was like being the only one like that, being the only one in my class that has different color lips. So then in 8th grade, a boy turned around and said, why do you always wear lipstick on one lip? And I was like, I don't even wear makeup. And then this other boy turns around and he's like, you're wearing it right now. And I'm like, I've been going to school with you for 9 years and you think I've been wearing lipstick this entire time on one lip since kindergarten? So confusing. And so like, to me, all those experiences of like that sort of like, just, I'm the only one. I just thought that's in being Indian. It took me a really long time to realize that's not being Indian. That's being a minority in the community, right? Being Indian, you're not the minority. You're pretty much the majority next to the Chinese. So it's like there's more, there's tons of people. And so, but maybe it's because I'm a teacher and it's in my blood, but maybe it's because the way I grew up. For me, I don't get offended at all. And I notice like you don't seem very offended by things either, but I'm not offended. Like people are like, I do not like it when people come up to me and ask me these questions and I'm supposed to be the one who teaches you that. I'm not offended by that at all. That's how I grew up. Like how are these people in this tiny little town where they're not bumping up against other Indians, how are they possibly ever gonna learn what it's like unless somebody teaches them? So I would have people, what is your dot? Where's your dot? What's the dot mean? And I'd be like, I don't know what the dot means. And I go home and ask my mom and she'd tell me her version and she doesn't wear it either, the bindi or the tika, so she'd tell me what she thinks. And then I go back to school and explain it, but it's never offensive to me because, sometimes the United States seems like we're behind the rest of the world in terms of our race relations because we have so much caustic dynamics going on between the races, but I actually suspect we might be ahead of the game. Now hear me out. I think it's because we have so many different kinds of people here that we're going through this. But you kind of got to go through this to get to this. You know, this is kind of like, I don't get you who you are, you're kind of a threat to me. I'm worried about my own way of being, disappearing, and all that process is an ugly, kind of messy thing. And then eventually you kind of get to that place of like, okay, I'm not threatened by you anymore because you're my neighbor and I've gotten to know you. That's where the United States is right now. But a lot of the countries, I think, in the world have yet to begin that process because they're not diverse.
No, I mean, diversity is there, but it's not of race. I mean, and one thing that I realized when I've seen 3 different countries, and things I have realized that we find a reason to, find differences.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's race, in my country it's religion. There is this, barrier that we find. I don't know why we do that, but it is there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, but then we find way to unite too,
So what would you say to someone, okay, so can I tell you my impressions of India?
Yes, definitely. I was waiting to ask that.
and then feel free to, correct me or add to it.
Have you ever been to India?
So I went to India when I was 5, and my mom says like when we went to India, we like felt belonging. Like these are my people. Like we understood. Oh, this is who I am. So when I went back when I was 20, I was expecting to be that again. Like these are my people, and it was like.
It was not.
There
would be cultural shock.
I wore all of my Made in India clothes.
Okay.
And nobody wears those clothes in India. They make it for Westerners to wear. And so I must look like an idiot because everyone's like, hey, we make those. And we don't.
I'm wearing Made in India clothes.
But those are Indian. I was wearing squishy hippie skirts that nobody in India wears, but they're made in India. And so.
Okay, now I get it.
Yeah. And I was wearing Birkenstocks, which are German. Anyway, we stuck out like a sore thumb, and more than that, it just at age 20 I was American, and so it was a totally different experience. I would say my takeaways about India are I like to describe India as a place of extremes. It's just both to me. It's like it can be amazingly amazingly kind and loving, and amazingly ugly and hateful in the most extreme ways.
I agree.
Like what? How does that? And almost like it can flip like a switch. And that's another one of my takeaways, is that it is a level of lawlessness that astounds an American, because we are so protected by, like, if there's a hole that you could roll your ankle in, there'll be a cone next to it so you don't roll your ankle in it. But I don't even just mean that. I mean, like, I was walking in a jungle town in Munnar in southern India, and there was a communist symbol carved into the bank of the wall, and it was carved in beautiful pebble stones, and I just wanted to touch it because that's the scientist in me, like, ooh, pretty, I want to feel it. So I was caressing a communist symbol, maybe not the smartest thing to be doing, and a bus comes around the corner, sees me touching the communist symbol. The bus driver crosses the street with the bus and splashes me head to toe in mud. And it's a bus driver, you know what I mean? Like, they're representing some company, I assume, you know what I mean? Or I don't know, but it was kind of like, wow, you took that into your own hands to make a sort of like political statement against what I was doing. And it just taught me, like, people will do that. People will have their beliefs and act on it. But I also would say happy, despite the poverty. I try to tell some students here at Rowe, like, I stepped into a social studies class and I was like, I'm like, yeah, in India, like they have cities like New York, and they're like, I'm like, you don't believe me? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, okay, how about New York with a layer of dust on it and some cows in the street? And they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, I don't really know what that means, but I feel kind of hurt and offended, you know, like I get tired of people just thinking of India as poor, and that and it is poor, but it's also more than that, you know?
It is. I mean, there is poverty, there is no denying that fact, but there is richness. There is family relation, the relation that here we miss seeing.
Mm-hmm.
We go beyond our capabilities and beyond words to do things for our family. But at the same time, there would be people who are so financially so poor, but still they don't give up on their family, on their child. They will sleep hungry, but their child will never ever sleep without food. They will do something for that. So yeah, there is poverty, there is bribery, there is corruption, there is a lot of things about India that is bad, but there are a lot of things that is good. And it goes for all the countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think India's or Indians' superpower is?
Their family value. That is something I have seen in very, very deep. I mean, it's in me. I have seen it in every Indian. I mean, I don't say that our married life is always the most happiest kind. It is not. We also struggle, you know. We also struggle too, and sometimes we also get sad. We fight. We you know. I don't know. We struggle too, but we make it work.
But there's a commitment.
We don't
there.
give up.
Yeah.
The thing is, we never give up on each other.
Yeah. I feel like one of India's superpowers is its spirituality.
Yes, that is also there.
Yeah, I feel like it's a cradle. I mean, there in that area you have the beginnings of 3 of the most top religions, most practiced religions, and so and then just the yoga and the meditation and all that, like, and the United States is really, really far away from that, you know, and this is a culture that's very physical, you know. I need to see it to believe it. In fact, that's what science is almost founded on, and I say almost because there's quantum, but yeah, we're really different from India in that way. What would you say is the United States' superpower?
Respect for individual opinion and treating everyone with equality. That is the superpower I have seen here. I mean, everyone is treated with respect. Everyone is given this opportunity. You know, the opportunity is available for everyone. It's without discrimination. It's without, you know, whether you are a girl or a boy or a babe, or whether you are, you know, white or whatever skin color you are in, or I mean, that is the biggest strength I think the US has. Obviously, and then there is nuclear power.
Then there's what?
Nothing. Sorry, cut that.
Well,
nuclear power.
And our nuclear power. Okay. Yeah, and I think some people would hear you say, "Oh, the United States' greatest strength is its equality during this time where racial injustice is really being examined," and might be like, "What?" But I think both can be true, right? Like both are true. Like we are actually good at that. It doesn't seem like it because we still have a ways to go, but the fact that it's part of the dialogue is part of, you know, us coming to terms with it. And I think what I hear you saying is like the majority of people that you and I interact with in the world meet us with acceptance, maybe some curiosity, well, just like you said, like just treats us as equals. And yes, there are outliers that don't.
Exactly. I mean, every coin has two sides, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, you can generalize things. Like, there is equality, but it doesn't mean that, everyone feel like that. There are people who are getting there, I hope, and will get there at some point.
Yeah.
Similarly, like, there is poverty in India, but it doesn't mean that everyone is poor. A part of them are poor,
mm-hmm.
but there are people who are rich than, most of the Americans here. But, so it's, I think, every coin has two sides, and we should learn to see from, unbiased eyes. It's easy to form opinion even before coming.
Yeah.
It's very easy to judge someone and say that, this person is Indian, so, she will be illiterate because literacy level is like very low in India.
Is it?
But no, it isn't. I mean,
because I know in southern India, it's like a high literacy level, and 90%. Oh yeah.
Yeah, in South. No, I was just.
Oh yeah, you're giving an
just
example.
That
was an inaccurate example. Why would you choose that one of all things?
Because in my state, it's very high.
Oh, it's very high or it's very low?
Illiteracy is very high.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, in my state, Madhya Pradesh, it's the most illiterate state.
Okay.
So for there, it was
but there
the
you
right
go.
example.
See the extremes of India.
Yeah, exactly. That is the extreme of India. Like, most people are literate. There would be like 90% of the crowd has master's degree there. Okay, it's just 10% who doesn't even have schooling. So, but we work hard towards that. We try our best. Our parents make sure that they will from day one teach us that your only job is to study and become someone, to make something out of your life. It's not that you have to do chores at home, or you have to take care of your financial responsibilities. We are there for you.
Mm-hmm.
We provide for you. You just study and make a future for yourself. And whether they are rich or poor, they do this. I mean, every family in India do this.
Yeah.
Even, the housemates who come to work at our house, they work day and night in different houses to earn enough money that they can send their child to study. Because education is not free there. You have to pay for education.
Indians value education, right?
Exactly, we value education.
Yeah, I definitely get that from books. Well, what I wanted to ask you, this is my last question, I think. So, I want to talk about women in India and how they're seen. I will just say that I dated a white guy, and I mean, I dated lots of white guys, but this particular guy, I was really sad to find out that once we started dating, the only lens he could seem to see me through was your Indian lens, which was weird because we had been friends for years, and it was like, is that what you were looking through though? Anyway, so the way it presented itself was we were all sitting, and there was I wanted to sit by him, but all the chairs by him were sat in, so I just sat down on the ground next to him. And he was in a chair and I was on the ground. And he was like, whoa! And so it's just he kind of took it as...
Attention around staff, the first bus of 6th graders is here. If you could please move your way to the front so we can call you students in. Thank you.
Okay. Clapping starting. So anyway, and so he took that as oh, you're being subservient to me. And then I'm a slow walker. I can see your face changing, what? And one time I was walking behind him because I'm a slow walker, and again he thought I was walking behind the man. And I was just do you even know who I am? I'm so not that way with men at all. And so there's a stereotype. Or again, it's not a stereotype unless, of course, there's truth to it, or it's generally true, I would think. But this is a major conception that people have about Indian women, is that in India, that we are deemed as less than male. Now, I feel like, is there some truth to that in the perception in India?
Yes, I will not lie saying that. No, it's not true, because yeah, it is true. I mean, it was true, okay? Because history don't lie. Male has always been dominating, and there is a vast gender discrimination in India, which is reducing. And now, but now things have changed. I mean, males are changing, you can say, Males have always been the bread earner of the family, and females are the homemakers. So they stay at home, and even now, there are majority of the family where females stay at home. They take care of the family. They are the homemakers. They take care of their children, but they are no less. We treat females as gods, and we respect them. And there is difference, because girls are. I mean. When a boy is born, they think that he will become the bread earner of the family. He will look after us when we get old, because that is what we do. We take care of our family. And girl will leave the house and go to a different house. She will be a part of a different family. So, that's why there is this gender discrimination. But the treatment, that the way you said, your white friend felt, is not something a good family in India will do. I mean, females are treated with a lot of respect, and although I won't say that it's true for the whole crowd in India. Obviously, there are different kind of people everywhere.
Right.
There would be violence, domestic violence there that you will see. But no, I mean, at least from where I come from, we were 2 sisters and 1 brother. My parents have provided equally for 3 of us. When it came to education, I have 2 masters. And it's because they have provided for me. They had paid for my education, because that is what family do. Families, provide for, whether it's a girl or a boy, they provide for the education of both the child equally. They treat them equally, and every father wants that their daughter go to a family that take care of their, daughter, a female, in a way that, will take care of a child. But yeah, there are families, where they think you are a female, you are, less than a male. So
yeah, and we know that that's a regional thing too, because Malala was fighting for education for girls.
Exactly. So it happened. If there are six children, and they can only, and if 2 are boys and 4 are girls, and they can only provide for education for 2 people, it would be 2 boys for sure, because they have to earn bread, they have to take care of the family in the future.
Interesting.
So, yeah, that is true.
Well, and it's interesting that in the United States we've never had a female president, but in India the leader has been the vice.
But, president had been
the prime minister.
No, president.
Oh, it is president?
Yeah, president was. Recently it was the president, but our prime minister was also Indian once.
See, I don't know all the political stuff. All right, well, this has been really nice.
Yes,
we thought it was going to be a 15-minute conversation, and it turned out to be like an hour, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Lucas has a lot of work to do. We really apologize for that, Lucas.
So anyway, thank you, Lucas. And if you're listening to us on a podcast, which we didn't realize was going to happen when we started this, hey, thanks for listening to us. Okay, we're going to go clap the 6th graders in.
Thank you.